Spawning in the upper right here in the blue. He is for Storm Gaming, the Mexican player. Special. His opponent in the bottom right in the red. Also for Storm, the Talteran, GUMIHO. Now, LT rank, what I mean about non-stop casting or casting or not casting is not about whether there are games, but more about how I approach the casting process. You know, if it's special versus GUMIHO, we're leaning into it. We're talking about all this stuff. This is a big matchup, or at least a highly skilled matchup. But if it's GUMIHO versus Joe Schmo 27, who's a diamond player, we're going to be talking about the game, but not nearly to the same extent. But anyway, ooh, special? He doesn't get this scout. Okay. So, we got the one barracks here. How many gases are we at? We're at double gas. So this should be Proxy Marauder here coming in from GUMIHO in the first game. It's something he loves to do. He is, well, he does it against Protoss all the time, but he's also going to do it against Terrans. And if Special does not see what's happening, it could be potentially a problem. Of course, Special is one of these Terrans that does tend to SCV scout a decent amount. He has done it on this map. So he's going to run across the map. He says, look, okay, factory. And now I'm counting the gases. There are 2. And I see how much gas has been mined out of them. He should know now what this is. He knows that this is going to be a Proxy Marauder play, something like that. I mean, there's an outside chance that this is something really weird, but because he sees the factory, he knows that it is not something that's super weird. Reaper going over, looking for it. Does it find it? Yeah, there we go. So it's going to see the Marauder, says, okay, back on up here. And of course, you might ask yourself, why doesn't the Reaper go back home to defend? Well, Reapers are useless. Tangibly useless against Marauders. So we're going to see Bunker go on up here. SCVs will have to get pulled to defend this as maybe a Cyclone goes out. Not really sure. But the Reaper's going to go onto the other side. It's going to be able to maybe distract the opponent here. Another Reaper does pop out before the Marines start to show up, which actually they do a little bit better because they just have a little bit more HP. And they do more normal kind of straight up damage. So Reaper actually, yeah, good SCV pull. Reaper's going to get this first Marauder. Bunker will complete. Some Marines are going to be able to make that happen. Reaper on the other side has killed 2 workers thus far. This is a fantastic hold from Special to start this game. Hug of death there on the SCVs. Yes, the Marine will fall. But actually, we're going to have auto repair. It doesn't even matter. SCVs, they kill off the second Marauder. A third one's going to show up, but now there's a bunker and Marines pop out. It's a full wall. It's not going to happen, folks. Not allowed. Specialist held this right now. GUMIHO is going to have to be content with the 5 workers that he has killed, and that is really and truly the end of things. We're going to see this barracks pick up rather soon. In fact, there we go. Run home. Or actually first. Okay, so it's going to show up on the high ground. It's going to look for some maybe value there. You know, give high ground vision so you kill a supply depot. But Cyclone locks on. Takes a little bit of damage, but it is absolutely going to brutalize a Marauder. That's pretty easy. All right, so it looks like these, the Reaper, almost a really good grenade. And is he gonna, yeah, okay, no, does not. But game equalizes Special. In fact, his naturals right around the same timing. We consider Special ahead, though, because we say, look, 24 workers. But what is producing right now? This barracks is not producing. In fact, there's a tech lab on the other side. Concussive shells are not something you want unless Special decides to go mech versus mech and his opponent goes bio, then yeah, sure, you know, concussive shells are great. And Special is a mechy boy. So more than anyone else, it wouldn't surprise me, but I mean, that is kind of a rather irrelevant secondary. Here's now the Cyclones on the other side. A couple Marines for follow-up DPS. And actually, here's the thing. GUMIHO's got 2 Cyclones as well, so it's a question of who locks on first. Who gets the better lock-ons? That's the really big deal. So he's kind of here looking for it. Now he gets the lock-on. There we go. The positive lock-on on the Cyclone. Half damage to it. 3 lock-ons. 3 Cyclones are here, and this actually should be fairly good. But, oh, the tag. The lock-ons are not really good just yet. In fact, yeah, they're well-handled. Well-handled from GUMIHO here. 2 Cyclones go down. 4 Special. Not a single one for GUMIHO. So he's going to be pretty happy. Eventually, this will now get held. He's not going to get punished too hard. And that pressure from GUMIHO at the start of the game didn't get much done. Conversely, this from Special, 2 Cyclones and a Marine for, what, a Marauder that wasn't useful anyways? GUMIHO, by really taking no damage there, kind of seesawed this game back. Not into his favor, but back closer to this idea of even. And look at this. We see GUMIHO. He's going to go mech in this game. Or not. Okay, never mind. I count the gas. I'm like, oh yeah, double gas to the natural. Let's go. No. But yes, beyond Nidus, homeopathic medicine does just about nothing. Certainly against COVID. Although, I never saw any studies about whether the vitamin D correlation was actually correlative in any way, or whether it was actually causal in any way, or whether it was just correlative. For those of you that are not familiar, there's been a lot of kind of agitation, particularly in the anti-vax community, but in general about saying, look, people that are deficient in vitamin D had worse outcomes and higher incidence rates of COVID than people that didn't. And they took that as, oh, just take vitamin D and you'll be fine, which is absolutely not how that works. But I never saw whether it was just a correlative action or a causal, or if there was any causal link. Okay, Ravens here from GUMIHO. They're going to run across the map. They do get scattered out, so realistically they shouldn't get too much done. Especially now with the missile turret. It's going to target one down. Auto turret is going to get... Oh, yes, it is. Good snipe there from Special. One Raven goes down, but hey, look at that. We got... SCVs are not exactly where they need to be. Auto turret starting to target that down. Special. All right, 5 workers to 5. Literally no impact, although another auto turret is gonna be... There we go. Okay, that's actually what you want here. And Cyclone's gonna lock onto it this time, and it's gonna get one more burger. Okay. Okay. We're good. We talked about this. I said, yeah, if you're going to go bio against Marauders, Raven find a little bit more damage here, especially slow on the bull. So 2 more workers go down. This Raven has 9 kills already. It's actually fairly good, but at this point it's dead. Okay, Viking pops out. I said, I don't think Special goes mech this game. It's one of those things where your opponent kind of, or at least already has concussive shells. That's something. No, that's Glittering Ashes, and Special said, yeah, I'm going to take my advantage and I will go mech. So, a couple extra factories go down. We're going to see a lot of Vikings, a lot of tanks. And GUMIHO has a couple ways he can approach this. On the one hand, rampant, unchecked drop aggression. But normally the Vikings and things like missile turrets will be able to deal with that. And he can either go and try to transition into a pretty quick Sky Terran, get even more Vikings, get quick upgrades, expand and take the map that way. Or play, Marine Marauder tank for a little bit longer. Well, does vitamin D correlate with exercise? Because you work out in the gym all the time, you're really not gonna benefit from that all that much. So GUMIHO, he's gonna look to find his way on in. Actually, sometimes it's just better to have no Vikings because these all die. Special loses maybe 1. So he has air dominance, means it's gonna be 9 possible really for GUMIHO to run in. Raven, or except this was a drop, finds a little bit more value, but I think that's gonna be not gonna get too much more. A couple SCVs have died. Yeah, I read those studies. I thought those studies were extremely correlative. I never read them. I just, saw the, vitamin D, less COVID. And I said, okay, this is probably correlative. This is probably a severe misapplication of of findings and statistics because it's coming from vaccine deniers. Like, let's be real. It's probably there. I highly doubt it's causal. Okay, so GUMIHO got its 4th base just about done. But the problem here is he's not really expanding that much faster than the meching Terran. And traditionally, when we look at mech versus bio, okay, Marauders are popping out now, which is going to be nice. You do want to be +1, +2 bases and really start to try to force these unequal trades. But because it takes so much longer to build 5 tanks than it does to build, you know, a full bio production cycle, even if you're trading in a worse manner, you will eventually start to snowball through as long as you're not trading too much worse. So traditionally, that's what we see happening. But you need an extra bases. You need a higher economy to make that happen. I do like this, though. There we go. Okay, so he will be up bases here. He's going to be on 5 bases to 4, and this is quad mule. That's actually pretty cool. Not something that we see all that often, but if you say, I'm going to be pretty safe, if you, you're saying, I'm going to be pretty healthy for the next little bit, I don't really have to worry about occasional run-bys, and even if I do, it's going to be a bunch of tanks that kill a planetary anyways. Pretty good way to do it. So 7 SCVs, they do go down to the Liberator, but it's the main base too. There we go. That's where the majority of the damage was. At the end of the day, GUMIHO is maxed out. He's on 72 workers. He's on 5 bases. Yeah, he's going. Oh, this is so cool. He's building 6 orbital here. That is, it's smart, right? Because if you have 16 tanks, as Special does, planetaries are going to do nothing for you. Like 2 volleys of the tanks and the planetary is dead. But instead, if you say, oh, well, yeah, tanks show up, I can lift it. I can go from there. And sure, Vikings chill away, but if you lift quick enough, you should be fine. Bio going to run on forward here, and look at this surround coming in from GUMIHO. The left, right, in the center of the tanks. They're not sieged up just yet. Couple tanks, though, they will get disabled. Auto turrets on top of everything. The Marauders, they cannot get close to the tanks fast enough. So the surround was fantastic for the Korean Terran. But folks, sometimes you gotta have more than just have the surround. You gotta have the right units where they need to be. Although these tanks, they're gonna take some shots. Now Special running on forward here, looking to get a really solid sieged up position, and he will scout out these tanks. We will scout out the medevacs from the north side. I don't know whether this is to set up a surround or whether this is to really go for a counterattack, and actually it looks like it will be the latter. So quad drop into the 3rd base here, I guess maybe forcing a base trade, but at the very least trying to maybe force the army, the army truly of Special back home. This one tank's going to go down really quickly. Not enough shots here. Tank pops out, but it's just going to die. Yeah, it's not going to do all that much. Really is down to these Hellbats for now, and they're not going to do much of anything. We're going to see, of course, Liberators siege on up. The target fire is not where it needs to be. Raven dropping the auto turrets, and it will force this back. Meanwhile, GUMIHO on the south side says a lot of these tanks, they're not sieged, but there are still a couple that are. The tanks, Special, he wins this fight, and I think he pretty much stabilizes on the other side. Yes, he does. Sure, he's going to lose some upgrades. Sure, he's going to lose some supply depots, but he's maxed out here. He's fine. His +2 gets denied, but he is pretty happy with things, and there are still tons of tanks on the map, forcing GUMIHO's bases to lift up, forcing his production to fall down. And remember, except we're not going to make that point about the upgrades because it's not true. Now that the tanks are unsieged, GUMIHO finally loses them. But he's up 20 workers. He will finally clean this drop up. That was a excellent sequence from the Mexican Terran. Excellent sequence indeed. Okay, now GUMIHO's going to try to find his way on in here, but at this point it kind of feels like the anti-mech, the way he's doing it is a timing. And because he lost so much economy, because he lost so much of his army, it feels like Special has just broken that timing at this point. He's up in supply tremendously. He is, yeah, he's lacking in upgrades because an armory was killed, but he's still at 1-2 bio or 1-2 tanks. He's got critical mass of tanks here. He's still sitting on 11 that bio really do struggle to approach. And so the salient point here is the fact that GUMIHO is still up a base. Yeah, this base was forced to lift. Yeah, a lot of SCVs died, but he is still up a base. He is still he is still on 6 orbitals, which does make life a little bit easier. Now the bio going to stim on forward, 6 in the back. Viking as they fall again. It's one of those things. If you're down 16 Vikings to 2, you might as well just not have Vikings. Spend that supply elsewhere, please. All right, so now Hellbats are going to run on forward here. Biostims backwards. They say, oh, that's 6 Hellbats. We're Marines. We're very afraid. Run on back, even though it's 3 Marines versus 1-2 Hellbats. And that, again, that's something that will always be somewhat impactful. I mean, you siege up enough tanks, anything dies. But when we're talking about Hellbats and things like that, it does matter. Here's now GUMIHO Stim on sensing an opportunity, sensing weakness to try to make something happen. Yeah, the tanks, they're not sieged up fast enough. So, yes, there are tanks on the backside. The army here in the front, it will fall. Special loses 7 tanks, bunch of Hellbats. Really not a lot. Now here's the next set of surrounds here they're going to run on. And this time the tanks are sieged up, so it's going to be better for Special. But he does lose this force on the map, and the army will be forced back. It's really interesting what we see Special doing here. He's not one big army, or say a big army and then kind of defensive forces at home. He has like 3 separate sieged up positions. And he's defending them. He's defending all of them with just a little bit of stuff. So GUMIHO crushes through one army, then he says, oh, I'm fine, and then he finds a second one that just shell away at him, and the pattern continues ad nauseum. But GUMIHO's maybe outpositioned his opponent here just a little bit. Now, of course, we have Hellbats on a ton of stuff, or Hellions on a ton of stuff. That's a problem. And this bio is running home. Special doing everything he can to contain it, to force it back, to really kill off a bunch of red bio. Looks like he will not be able to do so. And GUMIHO's finally maxing out again. GUMIHO, he's up, what's he at? He's at 6 bases. GUMIHO, well, I guess also at 6. It looks like, again, GUMIHO with the tremendous, he's on 6 or 7 or orbital. Well, okay, he's at 5. I guess he did build a planetary. Wait, what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's the 6 base. Never mind. We're good. I just can't count. Anyway, he has more orbitals, which means more scans. These Vikings got to be careful. Don't want to lose them. This base is going to get canceled as well. And now, again, GUMIHO is trying to swarm here. He doesn't have a lot of medevacs because Vikings keep knocking him down. How annoying is that? But he's going to run by. 5 workers will go down. Into the main base he goes. A couple Marauders here. They do mean that you knock down production a little bit quicker, and it's +3 bio, so you knock down production pretty quickly anyways. And we talk about that because of timing. But on a map as expansive as this, it begs the question, how do you hold the space that you need to? When you have an opponent that is as maneuverable, as a Terran bio player is, it's just really hard. So the tanks are going to run across the map here. Bio does not want to run down that choke. That is not the best thing with folks. Pay attention to the minimap. We got a bunch of bio here on the north side. It's all very low, but a bunch of bio on the north, a bunch of bio on the south. We're going to see GUMIHO looking to trigger this out here, as now the drop coming on in on top of everything. And this is the go button for GUMIHO in this game, but already so much of the bio that was dropped on is going to go down. You have the tanks. They're knocking everything down. Is there enough for GUMIHO to take this at the end of days? It is. Yeah, Special. That was a tremendous fight. He lost so many tanks in that engagement. That's kind of the problem, right? You got to have Vikings in the air to defend it from the carpet bomb. Otherwise, it doesn't work. And the Vikings were woefully out of position. They were not ready. Maybe defending a drop elsewhere. I'm not sure. But they were not there for the fight. And that meant that these tanks, a lot of them died. A lot of them were not firing at the true enemy. It was flooding in. Instead, they were fighting the enemy at home, not the enemy at the gates. And that's a bit of a problem. Especially, he's on ludicrous amounts of factories. He's on 7 factories, so he can build 7 tanks at a time if that's what he does need. For now is building 2 because money is still important. We're gonna see the command center go up, run away for a second, drop back down, but it will be burning by the time that happens because these Vikings are powerful indeed. Special, of course, he's on 1 armory, so his 3-3 is still a ways out here. The counterattack from GUMIHO as well, looking for value, looking to see what he can. We got a couple tanks seized up, and that is going to slow this down, but slow down is not stop, really. Yeah, Liberator siege up, and they killed Marauders pretty well. This army from GUMIHO is terrifying. And because Glittering Ashes is the map that it is, it's really hard to push up the high ground. This is true for Bio, this is true for Mech. So it does feel that GUMIHO, because he's on the high ground now, he will take a more positive trade. Because as much as Specialized these tanks, he has to leapfrog forward, he has to take the slow push. So 18 SCVs have gone down, the third base is broken. Eventually the tanks and the Hellions and the Hellbats and all those fun things will be able to clean this one on up because splash damage is good, but 19 SCVs have died in the exchange. GUMIHO the one now with a significantly positive economy. All right, so now Bio's going to stim on it. That tank stages up, but it's really not going to find anything that it's looking for. This army of GUMIHO really does feel like it's almost broken the game open for the Korean Terran. And I think it has. It's going to get it's going to get the natural orbital. That's a big deal. Bio stimming on into the main base. Tanks, they siege up, but they're still not killing this Medivacs. They're going to try to run away, but Vikings are doing Viking things. They're running them all down. But now look at this. GUMIHO, he has the high ground, so Special has to find his way on up. It makes it just a little bit longer. Eventually it gets cleaned up, but eventually it's a long time. That tank survives. The Marauders, they're still not dead. Yeah, okay, we'll die. I mean, that was looking so good for Special, 10 minutes ago. He wipes the army, he's up significantly in supply, and you're like, wow, Mac's doing good. But GUMIHO has done such a good job of owning the map. He's done such a good job here of ripping Special back and forth and forwards and backwards and just making it impossible for him to really run across the map to find the high ground. And every time Special does something like this and he says, yeah, I'm feeling good, I'm across the map, I got all this stuff, immediately GUMIHO has one Bio army on the right, another Bio stimming into the natural where there's nothing there. It doesn't actually matter. It's not really going to get much, maybe some reinforcements. And we are truly base trade here, and it's base trading against a Bio Terran who has more bases and has more stuff on the map and is also on top of your production, so you're not really going to be able to build that much more even as you have built a bank. It's a hard game for Special at this point. We love Juanito, we spam these Dorito, but life is not easy. We do not get to wear those shirts. So the Bio, I mean, the saving grace, I guess if you want to call it that, for Special is that he has a lot of planetaries. It's a little bit easier for him to hold positions as it is really just a bunch of orbitals. But now, okay, so Bio's stimming on in here. Tank's actually going to get a really good siege. Bio's not truly on top of that just yet. But the supply. You look at this as like, okay, well, these tanks are good and the Vikings are good, but it's 167 to 54, folks. That is not a winning combination here, and yeah, sure, it might take a while to knock these planetaries down, but the footprint that Special has in this game is really, it's the footprint of a toddler. It's like one of those things where, you know, someone has a kid and they say, yes, on my child's first birthday, I'm going to take some cement and I'm going to put his foot into some cement, and I'm always going to have my child's first-year-old footprint. Like, it's cute, yeah, but it's not an adult footprint. And GUMIHO, at the very least, he's got a teenage footprint on this map. Maybe even an adult one. Not sure. Certainly, it's not. Or yeah, certainly not a child. Certainly not the small little area that Special has. He's sitting here on 2 factories and a barracks. And now command center going down, sure. But this surround that GUMIHO's taken, he actually does not need to trade efficiently at all. He can really just stim to win. But he's gonna take it. slow. He's going to take it in a good way here as SCVs are going to get pulled on top of tanks, and they almost kill one. That's nice. 30 SCVs go down, but here we go. Bio-stimming on in. And oh, look at that. That drop's actually pretty cool, and it just saves a bunch of the bio because they're taking combo tank shots. But there we go. GUMIHO, he's up 1-0. Master of Marauders? Maybe? I don't know. Welcome, Scrappy45. Thanks so much for the follow. Special wasting no time in this game, too. Proxying 2 barracks. He says, you know, you proxied me game 1 and you won 30 minutes later. Clearly, it's because of the value the proxy got. I should do that too. Although, of course, this is a different proxy. This is not Proxy Marauders. All right, there we go. Reapers on the way, and we got to remember this is very close to
command center.
Very close to GUMIHO's base. So we do have to remember that. Well, they're going to arrive pretty quickly, and also GUMIHO is not scouted. GUMIHO on the axis of does the Terran scout, does the Terran not scout? GUMIHO is much more likely to be on the look, I got a Reaper out. I'll scout then, and not really go for an STV scout. So a lot closer to Bjorn on that from that perspective. Which means when these Reapers arrive in the main base, in the main base, they will be wholly on X. Oh, that's actually really big. We're going to see the factory get delayed. Now it's up, sure. But any second that you can wait, any second that you can go and say, yeah, there's no Hellion on the map, there's no splash damage on the map, is such a big deal for Special here as he looks to maximize the damage that he has. One Reaper is so gosh darn low, and on the other side, it just continues to find value. This actually may just snowball the game at this point. There's 1 Reaper, 8 workers have gone down, now we're down to 4, and Hellions have arrived, sure, but the Reapers, they're starting to heal. Special always known for his Reaper micro, especially when he has the server advantage. The Hellion dies in a second, but so do 2 Reapers, and now Special, he's gonna lose the last one. He kills the Marine, but the Reaper runs away, trying to stay alive, waiting for the next set of things. And that should be the end of it. Another SCV does fall, but at this point, we're not at critical mass anymore. At this point, Special's going to have to be happy with the fact that he's killed 10 SCVs and a Hellion and a Reaper and a Marine, which, for those of you Terran enjoyers, you'll know that's a lot of stuff. You're pretty happy with that one, although running up the high ground, losing a Reaper, you're less happy about, realistically. But what I find interesting, Special's kind of committing or continuing with his Reaper control or with his Reaper production. He's not running his barracks back home as one would expect. He says, no, I am just going to build Hellions behind this, and I'm going to turn this into a 2 Hellion, 5 Reaper setup. Something like that. I'm going to add myself a little bit more splash damage because I think I've done enough damage that I can continue to snowball this even harder, especially because GUMIHO's got a Reaper on the other side. Especially because, well, there's just less defenses. But let's see, 1 barracks going home, 1 barracks on the other side. Reaper's starting to find their way on up the high ground, but it's not really getting too much just yet. They're trading army for army, and that's not really the goal. In fact, the Hellion does not fall. So there we go. Special maybe overcommitting after a pretty good opener. What I think is really okay, I think there are a couple of things that are pretty interesting, but what I think is really interesting right now is the fact that he's going for mag field accelerators. He's going for a, well, there are builds like this where you go for, actually it's a 2-base Cyclone all-in, and it's a 2-base mech all-in, where you get 2 factories, 2 or 3 factories, you just drop tech labs on all of them, and you just get a bunch of Cyclones, and it's like, if the tempo is good, and you've done damage to your opponent, as Special has, you can get a lot of Cyclones out. And then it's like, okay, sure, Marines are good if they have stim, but before they have stim, they don't. And you just truly overwhelm, and then there's a tank, and that gets killed immediately by magfield lock-ons. All of these things. So we're gonna have to see if that's what Special wants to go for, but for now, of course, second factory, and there we go. Tech lab on it as well, so we will see 2 Cyclones at a time. And it's gonna be interesting to see how well this one works out, because Special found value. I mean, he killed 10 SCVs, and then he kind of threw it away. by overproducing, overcommitting to these extra Reapers and the Hellion and just really getting nothing done. He absolutely equalized. In fact, he's down in resources lost just a little bit because one of those barracks that he really doesn't care about, it did fall. But now the first of the Cyclones on the other side of the map. Special looking for some value. Of course, GUMIHO will see that. Look, okay, there are those red tracer dots. This is weird. This is not something you normally see here. Oh, Raven is under threat, but he's going to be fine. Okay. So what is the inflection point here, GUMIHO? Or Special, what are you looking for? Is it when you have 3 Cyclones? Is it when you have 4? Is it when you have Liberators as well? I mean, what's the goal here, buddy? Like, where exactly are you waiting to find value? I mean, yes, it's hard to run onto tanks. Certainly it is. But if you scan that out, then you can just go click on it, get the lock on, and it dies quickly. It dies tremendously quickly. But look at... Oh. Okay, so we're at 4 Cyclones right now. But GUMIHO's building Widow Mines behind this. Very interesting. I'm actually not sure what that is for. That's weird. And of course, because he goes back into battle mech. He goes back into building Cyclones. So... Oh, wait, what just died? Ah, Cyclone of GUMIHO. Okay. Yeah, so I don't know what these Widow Mines... Maybe it's just random Widow Mines to catch Ravens or something. Of course, if you're paying attention to GUMIHO, you'll not take that because Ravens are detectors. But if you just kind of F2 the Raven or other things back, it is a possibility. Oh, big... yeah, that's what it is. It's to knock down a bunch of Marines, but there's a medevac here now. And that does do something special. Of course, he does have a lot of micro ability. Stim Marines can catch these, but nothing else really can. Raven auto turret into the natural is going to find 3 workers. Now the army of GUMIHO running onto the other side of the map here. Widow Mines continue to find value, but not killing anything, I don't think. It's got like 2 Marines. Yeah, really not all that much. And... Oh, Special. Oh, that's unfortunate. It looked like he was going to squeak on through, but then 2 Cyclones, they do fall. What do we have on the other side of the map here? Liberators sieging up in the main and the natural, so there's economic damage. Special finally finding that once again. But I gotta be a little scared. It's like, what do we have? 4 Cyclones defensively? Cyclones are aggressive units. Cyclones are not units that you really want to use to try to hold a position. It just doesn't really work nearly as well for you. Because you gotta have somewhere to run. You gotta have somewhere to kite. Big deal right now. Of course, GUMIHO does not have combat shields. He's just sitting on stims. So this bio, these Marines are not going to be nearly as impactful as they might otherwise be. Yeah, GUMIHO again. He just set up a big surround. Special scans down, but no, there we go. Lock-ons on top of the medevacs, and Cyclone range is just so long. Jeez. Yeah, GUMIHO posturing here, looking for the big surround, trying to knock this stuff down. The Marines, do they find it? They get 1 down here, but these are some very overstim Marines, so the tanks are doing a damn fine job of keeping everything alive. Lock on top of that tank as well. Special just leading the lambs to the slaughter. SCVs are going to get pulled, though, and this is where they get dire for the Mexican Terran, because a bunch of SCVs, they just fell. Sure, he killed off all the tanks, but that is 12 SCVs down. That being said, Special's still up 9. I didn't notice that he was up 20 ahead of time. Hey, Minor Minnesota. Thanks so much for the follow. Glad you're here. Welcome. What a weird series we've had between these two thus far. I mean, it's, you know, Reaper openings that work out really well, and then it just threw it all away into double factory Magfield Cyclone builds, which are, again, really weird. Concussive Marauders, which not all that strange, but mech versus bio is not something we see all that often. It's not I guess let me amend that statement. It's not super weird, but it's playing just counter to the meta that it is really interesting to watch. Now, a big drop on into the natural here from GUMIHO. He lifted up. He said, I don't think you're here. And the answer was yes. The army was not there, but the tanks are going to siege on up anyways. And this actually is not going to get too much done. 2 workers go down. It trades kind of army for army a little bit, but realistically, with drops, if you trade army for army, you're certainly... If you trade army for army, you're pretty happy. SCV is getting pulled to try to deal with that rest of that drop, and those are 1-1 Marines. The 0-0 SCVs, they do not kill Marines all that quickly. That's going to be something, but this drop doesn't find much of anything either. The medevac goes down. The special is just not taking damage. Really the way we want to look at that. He is... yeah, sure, okay. SCV here, there, fine. He's deflecting the meat of these aggressive options pretty much at every turn, and Vikings, please shoot. Vikings. There we go. Okay. So it feels like we're kind of situated now. You know? We're on 4 bases. Specials on 4 bases. GUMIHO's on 4 bases. The supplies are roughly even. Specials worker lead is not as impactful as it once was because we're sitting at like 81 to 74. Sure, there's a little more money there, but there's still massive. You still got a big economy. And once again, it is mech versus bio. Single armory. I'm somewhat surprised to see specials sticking to the single armory idea and not dropping a second. But it's been so long since I've seen mech versus bio that I really can't argue with anything that special is doing because again, he is kind of the king of mech in TVT. I mean, mech did kind of look good. Clem beat Cure in Game 5 of King of Battles in a 45-minute mech game that I need to go back and watch because I kind of saw the end of it. I saw Mana like leap up out of his chair and tackle Clem. It was awesome. I'm so glad we have player webcams. Because it just gives us little moments like that. But yeah, I don't have a but. It does seem strong. It does seem at least viable in the matchup. But GUMIHO's taking a little bit different approach on Hardwire compared to Glittering Ashes. He says, yeah, I haven't been able to penetrate the defenses of Special quite as easily as I did in game number 1. So instead of really leaning into this bio play and dropping everywhere, and also Hardwire is a thinner map. It's a little bit harder to find your way into a place. Well, he says, I'm going to go, and I am actually just going to go really for that Sky Terran transition, heavily into Ravens, all those wonderful things. But Special aggressive on the map here. He's functionally maxed out. He's got a bunch of tanks. And, of course, Hellbats in those medevacs. This is old school mech TVT. This is hot mech TVT, and I am here for it. You go and you carpet bomb the bio with the Hellbats to prevent them from going in. And of course, I mean, the bonus damage to light units with all those Hellbats is rather nice. It just immediately removes the Marines from the map. GUMIHO really is showing us how to play this. It's really cool to see. As he's just everywhere where the army of Special is not. Anti-deathball tactics in the extreme and just holding his bases with just enough. And by the way, SC Elevator. Sorry, I didn't see you. Thank you so much for following. You are the 1,500th person to ever follow my channel. Wait, exactly 1,500. That is pretty cool. Thank you so much for that. I do appreciate it. I really do appreciate it. But bio stimming on into what is this? The 6th base of Specials. Actually, this one will go down. There is enough Marines here. There are enough Marines there to make that one happen. So Special now going to be curtailed back onto 4 bases. And that is, of course, GUMIHO is taking his 5th and 6th base here. But now medevacs, they're going to drop Hellbats on top of everything. Cyclone's locking on to Marines is really not what you want. And yeah, sure, you drop Hellbats on top of things. Those are Hellions, though. They're going to go die pretty quickly. The upgrades are not where they need to be for the bio in this instance. And GUMIHO, folks, GUMIHO is swarming in this game. He's finding so much damage. He kills the base. He kills off a bunch of tanks. He finds his way into another mineral line. And yeah, these Marauders, they fall down eventually. but hard focus on the eventually. It's not all that quickly, especially as they are upgrades, as they will eventually have, well, not 3/3 actually, because he's forgotten armor, but at least +3 attack. Now Special saying, you know what? Fine. You want to do that to me? You want to kill a base? You want to put all this pressure on? I know you just traded away a lot of bio, and you actually didn't kill a lot of my army. So now it's time for me to run across the map and maybe really establish a siege position. There we go. Vikings, they land on top of tanks, and the bonus damage to mag actually makes Vikings shred tanks if they get on top of them. Now, of course, if they run in, it doesn't work, but if you just, well, do that. Oh, this is not a fight you want to take here, GUMIHO. I don't think. The tanks, yes, sir, they're not sieged, but it doesn't really matter because that's a concave of tanks. That's a monstrous tank line. So kills off a couple tanks, and GUMIHO backs on up. He really does not take a positive trade. But all he's trying to do here, as much as he wants to take positive trades, and you know, all that is good, he just wants to slow down the terrain. He wants to buy time for the next level of this tech. He wants to buy time for reinforcements. This is just how you play against mech at the highest level. You force the sieges, you force them to not play the game of just running in, taking the one chokehold position and going from there. Hellbats, though, getting dropped on top of these tanks, and a tank in that medevac as well. Probably not what Special wanted to do, but anyway, Hellbats, they get dropped down, Marines die, tanks die, and that does buy Special the opportunity to continue his pressure forward, but GUMIHO is not taking that base. He's not taking the more exposed position. He's octopusing the map. He's just taking the edges of it. I guess crackening. Open the map. Sure. There we go. Okay, there we go. Now we got the disables coming down on some of these tanks. The big surround coming in from GUMIHO over here, looking to wipe Special from this side of the map, and he will be able to do so fairly easily. Yeah, sure, a lot of his bio died, but you got to remember, even supplies at the end of a fight like this are going to favor the bio player because Special tanks, they're more expensive. They take longer to rebuild. As I say that, though, Special is moving into Sky Terran as well. And this is not going to be for your, oh, let me build ranged Liberators. No, this is for battle cruisers. That's what that tech lab is for, or that fusion core, excuse me, is for. Now, Hellbats actually, they don't want to fight this. They really don't. Planetary will kill them, and they will not do much functional damage at all, but they will get on top of the SCV. So this is a dead Planetary. As now GUMIHO leaning into the, I guess we can call it a base trade. We're going to have to see how committed to the base trade it is going to be, and Special already running back with most of his army, just saving a little bit to continue the pressure on forward. And this just appears to be our life in this game. We've had a base trade in game one that GUMIHO eventually won. We're going to have to see whether Special has enough defensively to hold on here in the second one. And actually, yeah, he does not run back home. For a minute, it looked like he would with the tank, but he says, no, I got an army here. I'm going to use it. I'm going to annihilate everything that you hold dear on the map, GUMIHO. I think I can hold with my production at home. I'm not convinced, folks. But that is the mindset that GUMIHO is showing us, or excuse me, that Special is showing us right now. So what do we have in the main base? That's the real question. We got a couple tanks here. They're going to shell away. The Raven, there's actually just no Raven with this army. So I move forward. They're going to find lines and lines and lines of tanks, and it's just not working out for GUMIHO. Yeah, sure, he killed a base. He's rallying across the map, but eventually Special's going to separate that one out. It's going to mean that there is no rally anymore. And Special's building 3 tanks at a time. He's building 6 Hellions at a time. He is eventually going to build this terrifying army. Now, Armor Shredder missiles go down. I don't think that matters. Yeah, it doesn't matter. We just saw 19 SCVs go down and a big army go down. So GUMIHO saying, yeah, I got to go home. This choked position, this sieged up position that Special's been able to build for himself is a terrifying one. But folks, there's no anti-air. We're actually looking at negative anti-air here. So the Liberator is a wonderful choice from GUMIHO. He's going to find a bunch of these tanks unsieged. Special not quite ready in time, and that's a problem. That's a big problem. And we're looking at 9 tanks on the map, and 9 tanks are good, but not great. So it's looking good for Special. He found a way in. He killed a base. He knocked off a lot of production. But it feels like he has been curtailed back to his portion of the map here. The drops on top of all of these tanks, but Vikings are here now. It's the difference from that previous game, but enough of the army is able to drop on top of this. Special's army crumbles, but so too does GUMIHO. Big deal, though. A lot of the supply for Special, it's in his economy. It's great, sure, if the game goes later, but GUMIHO is trying to end the game right now. I don't think... How much do we have of this army? There are 5 tanks somewhere. They're not here. Special's rapidly trying to get them back into the game, but it doesn't matter. His production is getting camped. He's going to lose so many of these factories, so many tech labs, that this may have been the killer move that GUMIHO has been looking for the last 5 minutes. The last 7 minutes. The tanks now siege on up, and the Marauders, they're going to start to target them down. We're going to see Command Center start to fall eventually. Although, no, it's going to survive, because at least as long as there's a mule for repair. Because there's actually only 1 Marine left with that army. So Special down half the army supply, his economy taking a hit. There we go, that will go down his production as well. He needs to drop a mule, he needs to bring STV in because there's a factory burning to death. Command Center as well. An orbital as well. And GUMIHO's mining a lot more. Sure, Special's up 20 workers, but GUMIHO has that planetary, he's planetary on the other side. He actually has bases on the map that he can mine from. Whereas Special is really not where he needs to be, and please tell me he repaired that. Okay, drop back on the main base. They're gonna snipe this. Yeah, okay, the factory went down. The command center goes down as well. Special, he had the money. Really should have repaired that one, but I can understand in a game that is crazy as this, he's maybe focused on other things. And we're really starting to see Special struggle. His army is not where it needs to be. He really is actually lacking gas more than minerals. More and more command centers, more and more orbitals are starting to fall, and late game Terran, it is all about the orbitals. It's for scans, it's for mules, it's for everything that you want. And sure, Special's mining a lot more minerals a minute. He's got the mule hammer right now that GUMIHO does not, but it really is about the gas. GUMIHO has plenty, Special has none. And if you're playing mech, you really do. Oh, sneaky little siege up there. That's gonna be a lot of IO going down to the red or dying. And the army supplies are starting to equalize a little bit, actually. Not incredible. And still hard for Special. Okay, we're going to see. There we go. Vikings land. They do not kill off the tank. They almost kill the tank. It's another army from GUMIHO on the bottom side. It is insane. GUMIHO is just swarming here. He's multitasking against mech in such a powerful way that it's really starting to be a struggle for Special to make this happen. But now the carpet bomb, once again, tanks, they do get sieged up again. The Hellions have been made, but there's just not enough here to prevent the bio from getting on top of these tanks. And while it is a trade, it has been a trade in GUMIHO's favor. Special says, I don't have enough anymore, even if my economy is better. It does not matter, because GUMIHO have too much. Special, he taps out. GUMIHO takes the long, expansive 2-0, and he moves on to the round of 8.